everyone, and welcome to a slightly new, slightly old, slightly borrowed, slightly blue. I'm making a dumb reference to a tradition here. This is Whovian Reviewian. This is a podcast I used to do a long time ago. That is basically we talk about episodes of Doctor Who because we really like Doctor Who, and I don't think there's a lot of really solid Doctor Who web content, analytical web content out there, so I want to come in and kind of try and fill that void, not to step on anyone's toes, but the stuff I'm looking for isn't out there. And, there was a new season recently. There's a lot of discussion surrounding it, and it kind of revitalized my interest in the show, and as is pretty prevalent by how long I have been trying to get a YouTube career off the ground, I cannot leave well enough alone. So here it is. We're back again with this thing, and I would have been very remiss if I did not get back my original co-host. So appearing for the first time on the Modular Media channel is Mr. Bill Forsyth. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm fairly well. I'm happy to finally be getting this under the way because we've been talking about it for what, month and a half now?
Probably longer than that, but sure.
Well, I mean, this attempt at bringing it back, at least.
That's true. This is probably only about the third or fourth time you've considered bringing it back. So it's finally, it's nice that it's finally happened.
Indeed. What isn't nice, however, is we were not able to get our original co-host back for this. We had a free member system. It was free guys. And the first member was, of course, Mr. Ben Morpogo, a.k.a. Boulderman 2010. And we really wanted to get him back. We were actually in talks with him to come back for this episode, but unfortunately, he died. It's just one of those things that just happens. So instead, to replace him, we've got my cohort in running Modular Media, Mr. Chris Gaston is here. How are you doing, sir?
I am here.
You are. Are you ready to talk some shit on Stephen Moffat? Because I know that's one of your favorite things to do.
I like talking shit on Stephen Moffat more than Stone Cold Steve Austin loves the stunning Vince McMahon.
Didn't you once call Moffat the Vince Russo of Doctor Who?
Yes.
Good Lord.
And for anybody who doesn't know how bad that comparison is, Vince Russo's the guy who put a grandmother on a pole and made it a wrestling match.
Mm-hmm. Oh, jeez. Anyways,
we can only go up from here.
Well, speaking of going up, people are probably going to be wondering, like, what is the schedule? What is our plan for this thing? What is?
Well, I'm delighted to inform you we have no idea. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
no, you're not wrong. I have no idea. I'm not planning this.
We have some idea. I've got a basic.
He has some idea
in place. These two people have no idea what's going on. I just berated them into a Discord call.
Yes, I have been chained to my computer.
Exactly. But
let's hurry and finish this.
You're just chained. I'm in like that full Clockwork Orange setup, man. I got eye drops. They're not coming fast enough.
I just prefer to get this over with
for the Eighth Doctor's movie.
I prefer just to get this over with before the water rises too high.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so where was I going? Oh, yes. People derail me so much. Anyways,
now you have two of them.
Mission accomplished.
Are we finished?
We're never going to be finished.
Never.
Probably. Anyways, so we're not doing an actual episode review this time. This is just a general kind of like episode 0, get you accustomed to what's going to be going on here. And we plan for this to be a once-a-month affair if we can manage it, because Bill is a very busy fellow, and Chris isn't exactly fond of a certain era that we've already been over that. So he may just say, like, fuck that episode, I'm not going to show up, or Bill may just be like, I'm busy, I'm not going to show up. And if I can't get one at least one of these two guys in to co-host, then we won't do an episode that month. But the plan is to do an episode a month if we can manage, and it's going to be we will every month at the end of the episode we will randomly select from a list of every canonical TV story that is complete what our next review is going to be of. So it can be anything from any era of Doctor Who. This isn't like the old version of this show where we were just going through the new series and we were like, after we finish a season, we'll go back and do a couple classic stories. And then we never got to that because we never finished season 1. But yeah, the plan is just to do a general sort of discussion, what our thoughts and feelings are on the episodes, and hopefully get it out on a somewhat regular basis. But because just saying that would be far too short for the first episode of a podcast, I've set up what I am calling the Doctor Who FAQ for us to go through in this episode, because the thing about Doctor Who fans is like there's like 50 standard questions you get asked whenever a Doctor Who fan finds out that you're also a Doctor Who fan. So I thought we'd just go through those here in order to alleviate that happening in the comments. But it's YouTube, so it probably won't work anyway. But hey, content. So we're just going to start at the top of the list and work our way sort of round robin. And I will let Bill start because I think I know what his answer for the first question is going to be. Actually, strike that. I know what his answer is going to be. Bill, what is your favorite incarnation of the Doctor?
Rowan Atkinson. Oh, you mean canonical version? Canonical incarnation. Sorry.
I was about to be like, okay, somebody played a Curb Your Enthusiasm theme.
No, I have to admit it's a bit cliche, but my favorite incarnation of the Doctor is Tom Baker.
Yeah, I definitely called that, but that's just because you always go to Tom Baker when we're talking about Doctor Who, inevitably. Which is not a bad thing, because Tom Baker's great.
He also has the largest number of episodes to draw from.
Indeed.
I have to admit, though, if we're doing non-canonical stuff, I did appreciate the comedy special where Rowan Atkinson, for those of you who may not know, also played Mr. Bean famously, but he took on the role of Doctor Who to hilarious effect.
Yeah, that's a good special. It's I think it's on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel if people want to.
It's also on YouTube in general, so
yeah. All right.
First appearance of a female Doctor.
That is true too.
Yeah, that's true. That is where that happened. So, yeah, that's a. All right. So, Chris, what is your favorite incarnation of the Doctor?
Well, I'm gonna be one of those motherfuckers and go with the other very popular answer, 10. Yeah.
I have to admit, I did like David Tennant's portrayal. He did a very good job.
David Tennant is like a great Doctor, but in the way that the Doctor is just great. Like, I think he's like the baseline Doctor more than Tom Baker. But I haven't seen a lot of Tom Baker, so I may be talking out of my ass there.
Well, we're going to fix that.
At least in a modern context, like if you say modern Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Matt Smith's been gone for a couple of years, for like, 4 seasons now? You don't see him on any more promotional material. David Tennant's face still gets slapped on stuff.
That's true.
But
and now he's Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. Which I have to admit, just on a slight aside, I did watch some of the first episodes of the new DuckTales series, and it very much reminded me of Doctor Who with 3 12-year-olds.
Yeah, it's probably the best animated Doctor Who show ever.
Even though it's not Doctor Who, but no, the new DuckTales is really quite good.
Yeah, it has the 3 Caballeros.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've got to get to the episode where they show up.
Yep.
But my favorite incarnation of the Doctor is the 11th Doctor. I know he's got some really rocky material to work with, and
which one of them doesn't?
Most of the proper plot of his era isn't really that good in my opinion when I look back on it. But like, I just love Matt Smith's performance. I love the concept of old man trapped in a young man's body that they've done a couple times now. Matt Smith being the most recent take on that concept, and yeah, his performance is phenomenal. And there's some really great moments from his era. Like when I go back and watch just random clips from Doctor Who, because I don't want to watch a full particular episode, but I want to watch some Doctor Who. When I go on YouTube and just go on a spiral of watching clips, I mostly go to Matt Smith stuff. So yeah, that's why he's my favorite. But
you're also a big fan of him when we watched The Queen.
Yeah, like as much as I think he's a great actor overall. But as much as I love his performance in Doctor Who, I think his best performance is in the Netflix series The Queen. So if you haven't seen that yet, go check it out. It's not for everyone, as demonstrated by Chris's reaction to it, but it is a pretty good show. So let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Bill, what is your favorite villain/monster from the franchise?
There are a lot of villains that I like. But, okay, when you say villain/monster, I took that as a two-part question. So there are a lot of both that I approve. But my favorite monster is, the reason it is my favorite, it is because it is the first one that, in the true spirit of Doctor Who, really gave me the heebie-jeebies, and that was the first appearance of the Weeping Angels. That was the first Doctor Who monster that really got me looking over my shoulder at night. The other monsters, they were scary and they were good, don't get me wrong, but they just didn't make me hide behind the sofa. That first episode, Blink, really gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Okay.
My favorite villain, I have to admit, is either going to be the original Roger Delgado master or the John Sim master from Peter Capaldi's last season.
Yeah,
because
that was a really good take.
There is some quality to both of their performances that makes you hate the guy, but you also really like him because he's clever, he's quick-witted, he just happens to be going in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm. He's what you call a charismatic villain.
Yes. But he makes you just want to sit there and watch him because he has such a good performance.
All right. Chris, what's one of your favorite villains or monsters?
Well, monster is Cyberman.
That's a good monster.
I'm a fan of robots, and it's just a thing. They're just good. They're just good weird versions of post-human robots. They have a good classic design. They're nice.
All right.
Quite respectable.
Were you gonna talk about a villain as well, like Bill did, or was that it?
The master that David Tennant went up against is probably great because he had a punk rock kind of feel. Yeah, why not? He's kind of.
It's interesting because there is a lot of contention in the fan base about the original, John Sim's first appearance as the Master, because it was such a deviation from what the character was like historically. He was never crazy. He was never, he was, somewhat slightly misguided perhaps, but he was never just batshit insane. Which, for the purpose of the story, John Sim did a very good job as an actor. But the character that he was given was just such a radical departure from the norm. So there is a lot of opinion on both sides.
But here's the thing: I've watched maybe like one arc of classic Who. I only know New Who, and so that version of the Master just made the most sense to me because he is that kind of manic going against David Tennant's kind of manic,
which makes perfect sense.
And I will admit, I do like the early Dave Sim master in some respects. Well, there's parts of that arc that really annoy me, especially in that last episode. I think he did an okay job in series 3, I think it was. But when he shows up in the End of Time, I found his performance to just be unbearable. Like, I hated him in the End of Time. I'm glad they explained why he was so crazy in that incarnation, but I hated his performance.
Also, I kind of think the craziness is a good reflection for that Doctor. Because this part of New Who Doctors are very tormented and torn. So having his Moriarty be also kind of crazy thematically makes sense.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
I'd say that's certainly a good argument.
All right. Well, my favorite villain, monster, what have you character is gonna be the Dream Lord from one episode.
That is a good pick.
And you know why? Because he feels like what I wanted out of a New Who master after I experienced some of the classic masters. You're
very correct, and he's very much the impersonation of his character, which is a dark Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. And this is a thing I have, because even though that character is a figment of the Doctor's imagination by the time you get to the end of that episode, I just love how effective he was at like psychologically tearing down all those characters and just presenting himself as a threat on the level of the Doctor. And like, I miss there being other renegade Time Lords. Like, I don't need for us to encounter a different Time Lord every season, but like, I miss when it wasn't just the Master, because since New Who has started, because of the Time War, which is now retconned, all we've had is the Master showing up in various different forms. And I'm like, yeah, but I kind of miss when you could also have the Ronnie show up, or a random one-off guy like the meddling monk. Like, I miss that shit. I want that to come back. If Chris Chibnall, if you're missing, give us more Renegade Time Lords in your next season.
Make one of them The Rock.
Yes. I would actually love that.
That's actually kind of the sad part of that is both Anthony Ainley, who played the most recent classic version of the Master, and the lady who I have forgotten her name, I apologize.
Elizabeth Gomez?
Yes, who played the Ronnie, have both passed away.
Oh, no. I was thinking of
Missy.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking Anthony Ainley, and I'm afraid I have forgotten her name, but she who played the version of the Ronnie have both passed away. And within the last 10 years, which is kind of sad.
That does suck.
Oh well. Anyhow.
All right, well, let's move on to what is probably going to be Bill's favorite question, because this is one of his favorite aspects of the show. What is your favorite TARDIS interior?
My favorite TARDIS interior is probably the one from the 1990s TV movie, as used very briefly by the 7th Doctor and then the 8th Doctor. I have always... The one complaint I have had of the console room, especially in the 70s and 80s, was it was very sparse. And I like to think, of the TARDIS as a home, because it is. And so I like the TV movie TARDIS, console room, because you get to see some homely touches to it.
All right.
Excuse me.
Yeah, makes sense. I totally wasn't expecting. I was expecting you to go with an 80s one, because you're such like a 70s, 80s Who guy.
I have to admit, I do like the secondary console room from Tom Baker's second season or first season. I can't remember. One of the two. Actually, both, I think.
All right. Well, Chris, I think I know the answer, but what is your favorite TARDIS interior?
We can just get this out of the way. 9 times out of 10, any of these questions is going to be related to 10. So 10s. 9 and 10s. That techno-organic kind of flavor.
I See, I have a certain fondness towards that one because it was around for so long and it was the first interior I saw. But as I've gotten to experience different flavors of TARDIS, I've kind of like, I haven't soured on it, but my opinion has kind of gone down significantly. I'm like, yeah, it's a room.
My opinion on that one hasn't really changed. I liked it because it reflected what they were doing with the character at the time. Because when we were introduced to the console rooms in the Revive series, all we knew was that this brand new Doctor, number 9 at the time, before he became number 10. That's all. Don't ask me to explain that one because that will take us the next hour. But Christopher Eggleston, when we were introduced to his console room, the only thing we knew about him was that there had been a time war and that he was the only survivor. And so it was kind of I liked it because it was a reflection of, you have this, grand, wonderful ship that has gone through hell and back and has come out the other side a little bit careworn.
Yeah, and that does make a certain amount of sense.
And so I like it because it kind of shows the dirty, the gritty, the kind of duct tape and baling wire that he's had to use to put the thing back together. But as we've gone on and I've seen other console rooms, I have to admit it's not the first one I would choose if I could have my own TARDIS.
Yeah. My favorite TARDIS interior is the second to most recent one, Peter Capaldi's TARDIS. I know it was introduced towards the end of Matt Smith's run, but I consider it to be Peter Capaldi's TARDIS. Because it just has the perfect mix to me of like the more homely as parts of a TARDIS, and it is the flight deck of a ship. Like, I like how you have all those different levels with like bookshelves and a writing desk and all kinds of random shit on them. There's a chalkboard when you go down. But in the center of it, the actual console is it looks like a slightly more modern but also kind of timeless version of what we had in the 80s, where it was a very technological looking TARDIS. But you still have those sort of organic moments, organic aspects in there with things like the telepathic circus, which you have to stick your hands into, and it's kind of this weird goo.
Which is true. Now, I will say, you are correct in saying it is Peter Capaldi's console, because there are differences between the console that Matt Smith was given and the one that Peter Capaldi used.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, Matt Smith did not have the bookshelves, and the color of the time rotor went from blue to a slightly orange color.
Ah, okay.
So
I will admit I do like the blue color on a time rotor more, but I hardly ever noticed the difference.
I was about to say, I didn't think it was that. I have to admit, I kind of like the blue a little bit better, but...
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to another question regarding Dr. Paraphernalia. What's your favorite sonic screwdriver, Bill?
I would probably have to say the 9th Doctor's or the 10th Doctor's screwdriver.
Okay.
My second favorite, and the reason I say this is because there is an anecdote attached, but my second favorite is the 8th Doctor's screwdriver, which was also famously used by the 7th Doctor at the beginning of the movie. And the reason I like it so much is because Sylvester McCoy was never told how to handle, his Doctor when he was, playing it in the 80s. He didn't have a sonic screwdriver. The sonic screwdriver had been, according to the story, had been destroyed, but had been written out of the series because it was too much of a fix-all.
Because it's a magic wand, and they didn't want a magic wand in their show.
Right, and there was too much of that. But anyways, they never told him how to properly handle it. So in the scene where he's locking up the chest, he's holding it backwards. I am a very sad person, if I've noticed that. But yeah, that's why I like that so much.
All right. Well, once again, I think we all know what Chris's answer is going to be. But Chris, what's your favorite sonic screwdriver?
No, everybody say it with me. It's number 10s.
Yeah, and 10s is a very solid design. I think it's probably like, depending on the day of the week, it's either my second or third favorite, because it's like baseline what you imagine a sonic screwdriver to be now that we've had the new series.
And the Ninth Doctor sonic screwdriver is the only one that has ever been seen to repair barbed wire.
That's true.
But to me, that screwdriver just feels like that is Doctor Who as the first Common Rider's belt is to Common Rider.
Huh.
That's like, that is the symbol of a lot of it.
Interesting.
Because it's so simple and sleek.
All
I
right.
don't know. You should go look at some of the classic designs if you want to talk simple. It was a stick with a little piece of red with a red dot on top.
Oh, the second Doctor screwdriver is amazing.
Oh, his was a flashlight. It was a little pocket flashlight.
That's right.
Yes, that's what it was. So if you want to talk simple, there's not much simpler than that.
Well, I am a fan of very simple and sleek things, but I also like a certain amount of ornateness to it, which is why my favorite sonic screwdriver is one that's actually never appeared in the show. It's a toy-only sonic screwdriver called the Trans-Temporal Sonic Screwdriver, because I like how it's taking the 9th and 10th Doctor's screwdriver design and then just making it a little more fancy, making it look like it's had a few attachments put onto it and a little gussied up, if you will.
Excuse me.
I take it neither of you have seen how that one looks.
No.
Hang on, I'll get a picture real quick.
I have one in my hand right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. You do have one.
I have one. Thanks to you, I think I now actually have them all.
Oh
No,
my
I don't.
God.
I don't have the War Doctors. I don't have that one. But I have all the other ones.
Well, I've got to get you that one then.
No,
That is
I
the
hate to.
trans-temporal screwdriver.
Yep. No, I hate to say it, but the laser screwdriver you got me, there is a manufacturing defect in it, and I can't actually get it open to put batteries in it.
Oh,
So through no fault of your own, unfortunately, it is a dud. But it is a nice desk ornament all the same, and I'm going to be keeping it on my desk at work just to irritate people when they come in.
All right, well, let's move on to a bit more of an involved question. Bill, what is your favorite story in all of Doctor Who?
The Pirate Planet. That didn't take
All
long.
right. Hell yeah. I like the
No.
Pirate Planet.
The Pirate Planet is an episode from the 1979 season. It's Tom Baker and I've just forgotten her name. The companion's name is Romana, but it's the first version of Romana. We'll come back to that later. We'll explain that later. But Mary Tam, that was the name of the woman who played her. But it was a 1979 episode. Sorry. 1978, actually, I think. I'm sorry, 1978. Anyways, the reason I like it so much is it is written by Douglas Adams, who was the head scriptwriter for Doctor Who in 1978.
Wasn't that like the start of him going like, screw looking for writers, I'll just write the show myself?
No, I don't think so. But that was definitely the season where he had some real winners on staff.
Yeah. But no, the Pirate Planet is a good time. That's
It's a very good episode.
where you wouldn't know what to do with the universe besides shout at it comes from, right?
Precisely. Or, I helped Isaac Newton discover gravity. Oh, really? What did you do? I climbed a tree and dropped an apple on his head. Oh, and so he discovered gravity. No, I explained it to him later at dinner. He told me to clear off out of his tree. As I say, tons of quotable lines from that episode. Or series of episodes, actually.
Yeah. All right. Chris, what is your favorite story?
The Canary Wharf Cybermen story.
Really?
That's an interesting one, actually.
I would not have thought to go to that. But that's an interesting pick.
That one does have some very good lines in it, too. I have to admit, that is a very good episode.
But it just has like a great image with 10th Doctor having the 3D glasses, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that was a very sad episode, I would admit, but it was a very good episode, very good story actually, because that was a two-parter, I do believe.
Yep.
But no, yes, the Doctor, they've got guns. Yes, and I haven't, which makes me the better person, don't you think? They can shoot me dead, but the moral high ground is mine.
The Doctor will open the Ark.
The Doctor will not. It's like Stephen Hawking meets the talking clock.
Yeah, that is a very quotable episode. I like that one a lot. But my favorite is actually another 10th Doctor episode from earlier that season. It is The Girl in the Fireplace.
That's an interesting pick.
I just think, like, if you were gonna introduce someone to Doctor Who, that's a really good way to do it because it's an incredibly well done episode. It's got both a historical and a sci-fi plot happening at the same time, and it's got some fun side stuff with the companions, but you don't really need to know anything except one of them has been traveling with the Doctor for a while. One of them is having their first adventure right now. And
you also get that famous Russell T Davies knife through the heart at the end.
Yep. And there's some great character stuff for the Doctor, and I'm not gonna lie. If you don't find David Tennant pretending to be drunk to fool a bunch of robots funny, we can't be friends.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's my favorite story.
Can I take mine back? It's the one where 10 forgets everything.
Oh, you like? Okay, Human Nature is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Human Nature is great, actually.
That one's another one that has mixed opinions.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because
I knew damn well doing this, I'm gonna be the weird contrarian one.
Oh well, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying there was lots. I mean, that was a good episode in terms of the story, the premise, the acting involved. But there are some people who don't like the outcome. But that's just Russell T Davies knifing you in the heart at the end of every good episode.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to do that.
And like, I remember hating that episode when I first watched it, but that was just because I didn't get it. It was so different from any other Doctor Who I had seen at that point that I was like, the hell, this feels nothing like what I came to see. And then I went back and watched it a few years later, and I was like, no, this is brilliant. But yeah, very, very strong episode. So, Bill, what is your favorite intro from the entire series?
My favorite intro has always been the Peter Howell arrangement of the theme tune paired with the 1980s graphics.
Right on, yeah.
So that opening was introduced in Tom Baker's last season in 1980, and that rendition of the theme was last heard in, I believe, 1984, where at the end of Colin Baker's first season. The graphics remained for 1986, but the theme tune was redone again. So it wasn't around for all that long.
All right. Chris, shall we all just say it at the same time?
Actually, there's a different answer for this.
Oh my god!
Even though it is in it was in an era I did not like. It was Peter Capaldi's intro where they started bringing back the face. I thought that was really cool.
I thought that was a good thing too. I did like the face.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's actually my second favorite. I still cannot get over how much I like that intro. Just with the face being back and all the little stuff with the clock bits. Like, that's really cool in my opinion.
That was a very good job they did on that one.
It's a nice retro throwback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I said, it's my second favorite. My actual favorite is the Trial of a Time Lord intro. No, I'm kidding. My favorite.
I mean, it has its charm, I guess.
I like that version of the theme. I don't like it being used in the show, and I don't like the actual intro graphics. But no, that's not my actual favorite. I was joking. My favorite intro is the first Matt Smith intro, where the TARDIS is flying through a lightning storm. Like, it's a bit over dramatic, but it, more than any other theme, like, whenever it started up, I just like instantly got hyped up for the show. Like other Doctor Who themes, it's like, yeah, this is cool. This is Doctor Who. I'm in the Doctor Who mood. But that one is like, yeah, Doctor Who, let's go. So
I have to admit that was a good theme, and the arrangement of the theme was also very good.
All right, so on to one of the probably the biggest questions. Who was your first Doctor, Bill?
The first episode of Doctor Who that I ever watched was, this was kind of funny, Christopher Eggleston's last episode.
Really?
Yes. That was the first
I did not know that. You've never told me that.
I saw it. It was an accident in terms of it was just on, and I was like, this is weird, and so I watched it. And which kind of led to me discovering the rabbit hole and still having not come out.
Well, that's cool. Chris, which was your first Doctor, 9 or 10?
10.
Wow.
And the funny comparison, my first time watching Doctor Who was the last 10 episode, the made-for-TV movie.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, that is weird. That would not have expected that. My first Doctor was the second Doctor, and it's because Bill is actually the guy who got me into Doctor Who after we had a long conversation of him just explaining it to me, and I was like, well, where should I start? And for some reason, you told me to watch the Crotons.
I think you asked me specifically because I explained that there were two, there was a big divide between classic series and, new series. And I said the place to start in the classic series is with as far back as you can go to get some of the premise down so you can kind of see the difference on how things used to be done. And so I said, start with the Crotons, and then I gave you 1 or 2 episodes from the third Doctor, and then a couple from the fourth Doctor, and then a couple from the fifth Doctor.
Mm-hmm. And so I went and watched the Crotons, and looking back, that story is okay, but at the time I thought it was boring as hell, so I just immediately jumped to Rose after I watched the Crotons.
I will say Classic Who does have a different pacing than what we're used to.
Because it was weekly.
It was weekly, but just like modern Doctor Who, which is also to a certain extent weekly, but they weren't trying to do a whole story in an hour and an hour. It was, especially in that era, you were lucky if your story was only 4 or 5 parts. Most of them were 6, 7 parts.
Yeah.
It's like Power Rangers in a way.
Kinda.
No, better comparison. It's like Sentai or Kamen Rider.
Yes, where the original Kamen Rider show is over 100 episodes long, just because that was in the days before they planned out their stories. So they were just like, we're just gonna make this for as long as we can. Oh, it's getting kind of stale. Let's make a third writer and give him his own show.
Yeah.
But
Doctor Who is British tokusatsu.
It kind of is, yeah. And the thing about the thing that I think can really be said for people who don't know, to give an example of how different the pacing in Classic is compared to New Who. In New Who, you'll have a teaser, which is 2 to 5 minutes long of just setting up what the story is, and then they cut to the intro, and then you get the rest of your story. In Classic Who, what we would have as a teaser would be the entire first episode of a multi-episode story.
It's more structured like anime.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And also, the very first thing you see on every episode is the opening credits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on a very, very actually no, I take that back. They did occasionally do teasers, where they would show the last, because most of the episodes would end on a cliffhanger, and so they would show the last 10 or 15 seconds of the previous episode, but they would always do it after the opening credits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excuse me. Good Lord.
So, another really broad topic. Who is your favorite companion, Bill?
hands down, it is Romana.
All right, yeah, I can see that.
For people who don't know, Romana is a fellow Time Lord. And I said we would talk about back, when we were talking about the pirate planet, and I said that it was the first version of Romana. Well, Romana is a fellow Time Lord. She was actually assigned to be the Doctor's companion by a very powerful deity when they were trying to save the universe from destruction. And she just kind of didn't leave when her time was up because she was having so much fun. But this is one of the most contested things. At the end of her first season, Romana actually did regenerate. And we're not going to go into the specific circumstances.
We'll wait till we get to that story.
We'll wait till we get to that story. Because
I won't
that
say
one is one
why,
of the most
but
hotly...
Romana's regeneration is spectacular.
It's also one of the most hotly contested events in most of classic Doctor Who.
Yeah. Chris, is it Rose, or are you just going to say Rose?
It's Donna.
All right,
Donna.
okay.
Donna is a good
You did not give the bad answer. Thank you.
It's Donna.
Donna is a very good choice. I enjoyed her, especially because Catherine Tate is actually a comedian.
Mm-hmm. You get the feeling that there were some improv scenes in her season, and not in the bad way. Like I get the feeling that some of the scripts just had parts in them where Davies put, and then Donna does something funny.
Donna acts like Donna.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
David responds.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Donna's great. But my favorite companion, and I'll be really interested to see if this throws Bill for a loop, because this is something I don't think we've ever discussed, but my favorite companion is Jamie.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah. Jamie was the longest companion of the Second Doctor. He is arguably the Second Doctor's main companion. And I like him because he's the one male companion that is just a good guy. He is not there to be muscle for the Doctor and occasionally explain things. He is not there to be stupid so the Doctor has something to explain to. He's not there because
to be maniacal
or be kind of an unneeded badass comparison to the Doctor. I mean, I love Captain Jack, but there were moments that I was like, do we really need this character here?
I can't argue with that.
But Jamie is just kind of the Doctor's pal. He's just there to help out and be a good boy where he can. And, he's from the past, so there's some stuff he doesn't get, but you don't have to explain it to him like he's 5. You just say, like, well, this is like this because this, and he gets it. And I like that so much. And there's some good scenes from the Second Doctor's era that are just him and Jamie hanging out or taking a moment, and you don't get that with a lot of other companions, especially male companions, because when we do have male companions, especially in the modern series, they kind of tend to be the butt of jokes. And the only time I've actually...
There's also a couple of instances where the Doctor and Jamie do a little bit of their own improv, but they also they're also a little bit funny, where they kind of have like family squabble moments.
Mm-hmm. And like the only time I think the male companion who is the butt of jokes has been done well is actually in the most recent season. The character of Graham has really grown on me over the course of Series 11. He's like gaining on Jamie as possibly a new favorite companion. But I think I'm going to have to wait till the end of his run to make a decision on that. But I do really like Graham because he's funny, but his jokes aren't just like, this guy's an idiot. It's like, no, he's kind of an old man, and that's understandable. But also he's got a lot of like inner turmoil character stuff going on that they explore over the course of the season in a very classy way. And I like that. But yeah, that's my favorite companions, possibly.
I think you've exceeded your one.
Yes. All right, so let's move on to some hypotheticals. If you guys could bring back any companion for an episode, which would it be and why?
I would bring back Romana, simply because there was a tremendous amount of chemistry that existed between the Doctor and her. And the particular people was Mary Tam and Lalla Ward, and they were playing against Tom Baker's Doctor. And there was a tremendous amount of chemistry there because the Doctor at the time, and to now to a certain extent, he was always kind of portrayed as very smart, very good, but a little bit scatterbrained and not necessarily following the rules. And he would complain that something didn't work when in fact he just hadn't read the rules or read the operating instructions. And so Romana was always the foil to that, where there is a scene where she is teaching the Doctor how to pilot his own TARDIS because he hasn't bothered to read the manual. And their relationship evolved to, she would kind of do like what River Song does in, I forget the episode, but where they're in the White House, where she's coming along behind him and fixing all of the controls as he's tinkered with them to make it actually do what he thinks it's going to do. And so she was a very good companion because they cared a lot for each other, but there was also a tremendous respect between them because they both had very similar, mental capabilities and that was a problem for the scriptwriters, of course, because Romana would understand everything he was saying. So I would love to see her come back and be, a proper companion for a while.
And there is potential for that because I think she canonically survived the Time War. Now that we've had it retconned.
We'll see. Incidentally speaking, though, actually, that has sort of happened because Lalla Ward has reprised her role for a couple of the audio dramas and is paired up with Tom Baker in some of the audio dramas from Big Finish.
You know what would be amazing? And I don't think they'll do this because Chris Chibnall is really against bringing back old stuff except for little winks and nods. But I would love if Lalla Ward came back for an episode and then at the end of that episode she did a big sacrifice moment for the Doctor and then regenerated, and then we had a new Romana as the Doctor's companion for a season.
That would be interesting. I would like to have the passing of the torch moment. That's kind of that actually should explain the answer to one of the questions coming up here shortly. But I do like for example, Stephen Moffat gave us the Paul McGann's regeneration scene for as an add-on to the 50th anniversary. Mm-hmm. I do like having that passing of the torch moment.
And I have watched that little special more times than I've watched the actual 50th anniversary episode.
As have I, because on top of it all,
really good.
On top of it all, Paul McGann is a very, very good actor, and I only know him from the TV movie and from his Big Finish audio dramas, but I would have really liked to see him in his own series because I think he would have been a very good Doctor.
Well, I like that special just because, and we're getting a bit off track here, but I'm going to stop after this. I like it because it's like they gave me my cake and then said, but you can't eat it. Just look at it. Because I, for years, until we got to the 50th anniversary, was going they should do a special project of just a mini series and get Paul McGann back and have Christopher Eccleston show up in one of the last episodes and just fucking show us what the Time War was. Just do it. Just give me a mini series of that. And they kind of gave us that, but they also kind of danced around it, which, in all honesty, I'm fine with. But Chris, what companion do you want to see come back?
Donna. Don't be a coward. Give her back all her super stuff, and just have her be fucking Donna.
I was about to say she'd almost be on par with Romana at that point. That would be good. I would want to see that.
Well, she'd be on par with Romana and also Clara now, who is running around with her own TARDIS.
Well, Clara doesn't have all of the Time Lord stuff that Donna has.
Mm-hmm.
So
of all three of them, and just have it just be technobabble, and have one human going like, "What the fuck is going on? Don't worry about it." And it just becomes a wild fever dream of surreal escape.
that would be funny.
But they're all like, "No, this is completely normal," and the other third, fourth person's going like, "What the fuck?"
So my answer is purely for production reasons. I want Ace to come back. I want Ace to come back and actually get a proper end to her story, because she's the one companion who hasn't gotten it, because the show got canceled while she was on it. And they had a whole big plan for her character. She was one of the first companions to get that, and they didn't get to do it. They kind of touched on it in books, but we still haven't seen the Cardinal Master Plan come to fruition. And gosh diggity dang it, I want to see it happen.
I would, if nothing else, I would like to see the passing of the torch again. That kind of, I would like to have some closure, even if it was a one-off. I'm going, I'm retiring to the countryside and, to live happily ever after or whatever. But I would like to have the closure of,
or
what
like
happened to this
just
character.
have a Gallifrey episode and have her actress show up and be like, yeah, she went off and became a time lady, like Cardinal was planning, but we just didn't show it. And you don't even have to have her be integral to the plot. Just have her cameo in a scene.
That would be interesting. So I'm not picky about what I'd appreciate it if they didn't kill her off, but yeah. I'd like to have the moment of closure.
All right. So if you guys could bring back any classic monster from the classic series, obviously, that has not appeared in the new series, which would you pick?
Mine is a little bit strange, and I don't want to do any discussion on it because I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to bring back, simply for the reaction from the fans, I would like to bring back the Vervoids.
Oh my god, you took my joke answer and said it seriously.
Honestly and truly, I would like to see them bring back the Vervoids. Not because I think they were a great monster, but I'd like to see the reaction from everybody. Moving on.
Chris,
I just googled that. They look like Destroy-Oha.
That's not the description that I had, but
people generally refer to them as the vagina faces, Chris.
They look like Destroy-Oha from Godzilla.
Yeah, kinda.
I have no idea about anything Classic Who, so I have no good answer.
All right.
The one that looked like it was made out of shit from the back room.
That's like several of them.
There you go.
All right.
You're gonna have to be more specific on that, because say the one that looks like bubble wrap. Well, that's about 50% of them.
The one that looked like slightly deflated bubble wrap.
Well, that does narrow it down, because you see in the no. I'm about to. This is.
I know you are. I just love.
This does narrow it down, because you see, bubble wrap didn't exist until the mid-70s, so that does narrow it down slightly. Now, was it crinkly bubble wrap or was it smooth bubble wrap?
Bill, stop. My pick is gonna be Sutek's race. Not specifically Sutek himself from Pyramids of Mars, but I'd like to see that race come back, and I'd like to see more done with them, because they were really interesting.
That would have been interesting as well. That would be really good.
I'd like to see what you could do with one of those monsters on a modern costuming budget, and it doesn't have to be a guy sitting in a chair.
Oh, yeah. Now, I have to admit, the Pyramids of Mars, though, does contain one of my favorite improv scenes ever, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. All right, so Bill, if you could bring back any currently missing story, which would you get?
Well, as I referenced earlier, I like to have the moments of closure. So I would love to bring back the episode, if indeed the entire story, if possible, of William Hartnell's regeneration. I know we've got the clip, the segment, but I'd like to have the entire story.
That's a fair pick.
Because I think of the ones that we're missing, that one is the most historically important.
Chris, do you know of any classic stories you'd want to bring back?
I don't know.
All right, we're gonna have to get you. We're gonna have to educate you as we go on.
We'll just take a break here and look at the scores. We have 2 abstain from Chris. We have
and the rest of them are 10.
My pick is going to be another Hartnell era story. I do agree with you that it is a very historically important thing that we should get back his final story. But I want the Dalek Master Plan back.
That would be yes, I agree with that one too. The Dalek Master Plan and the Yeti. That's the third one that I want to see.
Because the Dalek Master Plan is like this legendarily epic story that like old Doctor Who fans always talk about, but no one from like who was a fan, who became a fan after the 70s, has ever seen. And so like I know the plot of it. I know what happens in it. I've seen reconstructions, but I still want to see it. I want to see that episode. I want to know what I want to experience that plot, because from what I'm told, it sounds like it's the most epic classic story before the War Games.
I think that's a very good opinion. Not opinions, but a very good analysis. I agree.
All right, and to close out our Doctor Who FAQ, I have one last hypothetical that's doesn't really have any bearing on our opinions on the series, but I thought would just be fun to throw in here. So, Bill, if you could travel with the Doctor, what would be the first place you would want to go? It can be anywhere on Earth and in its history, or a fictional place from the series, if you want.
I would go either to Legopolis or the 1964 World's Fair.
All right, those are solid picks. Chris, where do you want to go?
You know what? Just for the fuck of it, the first World Series.
That would be
World
interesting.
Series.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not sure I'd want to go through there, because that's I've seen pictures and it's very, very drab. It's black and white. I'm sure I'd enjoy it.
Yeah, but you gotta go to the old ball game.
All right, my pick is probably the perfect reason to give for why I would never actually travel with the Doctor, because I get the feeling he or she would disapprove of this. But I want to go back and see the life of Christ, and I want to take a video camera around so I can settle some frickin' arguments.
I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole, because there are enough holy wars going on right now. I don't need to start another one.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, though,
You just gotta make sure you also get a good couple clips of Brian.
Yes.
yes.
I mean, realistically, I would like to look at every major religious figure that's started a religion that's still around today, but I get the feeling the Doctor would catch on to the camcorder like by halfway through Jesus's life, and he would be like, "Put that shit away."
That would be the fun part, though, would be figuring out where it happened, because you really don't think it happened on the night of December the 25th.
Yeah.
No, I think historic accounts have put his birth more towards late summer, early fall, and they just celebrated on the 25th of December because that was the day of Saturnalia.
Yeah, but I still say it would be interesting to track it to actually do the research to see if you could track it down, because that would be the fun thing to figure out is when did it happen.
The funny thing would just be doing a time lapse of watching the Buddha underneath the tree.
Yes.
Yeah, that too.
All right.
Actually,
well,
no, I'm not going to go to that. I'm not going to say what I just thought. Never mind. Moving on.
I mean, they are friends, Jesus and Buddha. There's a whole anime about it.
That's right. I forgot about that anime. Oh my god.
A couple of Yakuza think Jesus is a mob boss's son.
Oh my god. So you completely threw me out of alignment there for a second, but
good. I'm glad.
That's our job.
Yeah, that is entirely why I brought you on. It's not because I didn't want to just ramble into a microphone alone about Doctor Who. But
yes, because you do that enough as it is already.
You guys want to find out what episode we're going to be talking about next month? Because we've gone through all the questions now, so I think it's time to sort of close out the episode with that.
Sure. Let's spin the wheel, the metaphorical wheel.
All right.
Excuse me. God damn.
So I have the random name picker set up here with every story that is currently complete. It's the same random name picker we use to decide on topics for analytical fanboys. So
it's gonna immediately go with a crazy one.
Yeah, totally no fuckery going on here. I swear to you, I am not just picking episodes I want to talk about. So the next episode will be. Holy shit, Chris is going to love this. We're doing Partners in Crime from the 10th Doctor's era.
Fuck yeah.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah, that's the...
Starting off on a high note.
That's the Series 4 premiere where Donna becomes a full-time companion.
There are certainly worse ones we could have picked.
Yeah. All right, I'm totally... It's not a favorite of mine, but I'm totally into that.
I said that's not what I was expecting, but I am willing to accept that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will be back in February to talk about Partners in Crime, and until then, thank you all for
Partners in Crime will be back to talk about Partners in Crime.
Exactly, yes. But until then, thank you all for listening to this inaugural episode of Whovian Reviewian. We hope at least one person enjoyed it and is looking forward to more.
And for the rest of you who merely survived it, we deeply apologize.
Exactly. So, Chris, why don't you tell everyone, since you're the new boy, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on the internet doing stuff?
You can find me at Boingo Writer on YouTube, at Boingo_Writer on Twitter, and Discord. Link to my Discord channel server thing is in the Descript.
All right. Bill, I think I know the answer to this, but is there anywhere people can find you doing stuff on the internet?
Well, the easiest way to find me is to start looking under rocks, because that's where I live. Keep looking till you find me.
All right, that's exactly what I expected. I am Simeon Scott. I make various online video and occasionally photography projects. I'm the guy behind a little thing called the Vacuuminator Saga, and I'm not trying to be modest by saying that it's actually a little. Not a lot of people watch this, like 800 subs or something like that. But
hey, 895.
Yeah. But it's a thing about a guy who talks about media on the internet, and there's a story surrounding his life. It's one of those. And I also have a vlog channel, which is just called Simeon Scott. You can go check that out, and you can follow me on Twitter at that Simeon Scott. Also got an Instagram with that username, and that's pretty much it. Whovian Reviewian is a production of Modular Media, though, and it is being hosted on the Modular Media channel. So if you want to get every episode as it comes out, go ahead and subscribe just by clicking the thing that'll be below the video. And if you want to listen to the episodes on the go, hey, Modular Media has a Google Drive folder full of MP3s of every podcast we do, and that'll be linked in the video description. Be sure to subscribe to our subreddit and follow us on Twitter for updates on the show and when it's coming out and all kinds of other goofs and gaffs. And I think that's pretty much everything we need to link. So we will see you next time when we will be talking about Partners in Crime.
Let's get ready for some British Gundam.
Yeah. Until then, I'm Simeon.
Yes, you are.